Hello everyone, and welcome to the series premiere of not Star Trek Wolf A. What? Okay, we already have an anomaly. We have Star Trek Wolf A instead of Star Trek Babylon. Somebody make a note. But this is Star Trek Babylon. It is a Star Trek Adventures second edition game using the rules by Modiphius Entertainment, and we are very much a anomaly of the week focused game. So if you are a fan of episodic content along with just crazy wacky anomalies that these people have to deal with, this is the campaign for you. And as I get the Wolf Ray out of here, Wolf Ray, you're on Wednesdays. Bad. If any of you would care to introduce yourselves, in fact, why don't I just start with the captain? So, captain or eschatologist, would you care to introduce yourself and who you're playing?
Hello, I am the eschatologist, and I am playing Captain Corin Runa, a young Bajoran captain on his first command. Very happy and very proud to be taking command of U.S.S. Babylon.
Very good. Up next, that gray guy. What do you got going on?
Hello, folks. Gray Guy. I'm playing Lieutenant Commander Jack Manetti. I am the lead science officer on the ship and a bit of an ace pilot.
Just a bit, not like super great, just a bit.
Just it was what, 7 successes?
I mean, that is true. You did roll really hot in that test session. It was really good. All right. Up next, Caractus. What do you got going on? Or Carataculus. I my words are all over the place. I apologize.
I am Caraticus, often known as Granite Flinger. I will be playing Lieutenant Commander Grak, a Klingon, the chief medical officer raised by Bajorans.
Okay. And last but not least, the Drew. There's a nice, easy name.
Yeah. I am the Drew. I'll be playing Lieutenant Commander Rendick, a Ferengi chief engineer who is looking for great profit.
All right. And with that, of course, Techno Nerd made us a lovely intro. So let's run that intro and see what Techno Nerd cooked up. And welcome back. So, as is tradition with all of my Star Trek Adventures games, first and second edition, is I have the players do an opening log. And Captain Corin, I believe you have that honor today. So, first opening log, go for it.
Captain's Log, Supplemental. Starfleet has sent the Babylon to investigate the sudden disappearance of the U.S.S. Zamboanga near the Hevthea system. It is a region known among local spacefarers as a sort of Bermuda Triangle, where countless vessels have been lost without any indication as to why. The Zamboanga was one of Starfleet's most capable vessels in the quadrant. For it to have suddenly vanished without a trace has me worried that something sinister may be at play here. I've brought the ship up to yellow alert as a precaution on our approach to Hevthea.
All right. And you may have a momentum for that lovely opening log. Let it not be known that I can be magnanimous at times. So have a momentum. And thanks to chat, you're already starting with 2, so even better. So, as the captain just said, we do start with the Babylon flying at warp towards the Heptea system. And at the moment, the atmosphere is not exactly tense, but it's also not exactly pleasant, if that makes any sense. Where obviously you all can feel whatever you want, but the NPC crew very much on edge because, as your simulation did in session 0.5, they literally just had half their ship ripped out from underneath of them. So the fact that they're back out in space after such a devastating blow, it's worn on people's minds just a little bit. But for the moment, Corin, you are on the bridge. Meretti, I imagine you're at the helm. Grok and Rendak, if you want to be on the bridge, you certainly may. Or if you want, you can stay in sickbay and or main engineering. But one thing...
I think...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think Riddick's probably in main engineering because Maiden, like, we took off right out of repairs. Like, he is probably, like, standing at the warp core panel monitoring like a mug.
Okay. And what about Grok?
Well, I think Grok will head to the bridge and see if he can get a moment or two with the captain.
Sure. Yeah, in fact, why don't we play that out right now? So, Captain, I imagine you're center chair, walking around.
Center chair, trying to project an image of calm and unbothered, since the crew seems to be a little on edge.
Captain, I wonder if we can speak in your ready room or somewhere. Just you and I.
Certainly, Doctor. Mr. Connery, you have the con.
Great, you're already passing off responsibilities to me, just what I wanted.
You did accept the post as first officer, Commander.
Well, yes, it doesn't mean I have to make it easy for you.
It's actually exactly what it means. We'll cover that later. This way, Doctor.
Captain, I'm concerned about some of the crew. I'm just wondering if there's anything we can organize or arrange here. There seems to be a serious morale issue.
I understand that a lot of the crew is nervous considering the circumstances of having her put back in for repairs, but unfortunately the missions have to take priority. Starfleet sent us back out, and we have to go. Are there particular crewmen you think need an easier transition in, or do you think it's a generalized problem?
Well, it's just I've encountered several over the last couple of weeks of just regular checkups and such, and several of them are expressing concerns. We don't have a ship's counselor that I'm aware of, and I'm just seeing there may be some issues that may get worse if we don't address them.
Understood. For the time being, I'd like you to keep me apprised of any specific concerns. We'll see what we can do about addressing the broader morale issues as time goes on. And if need be, we'll see about putting back in for perhaps a counselor assignment, if you think that is necessary.
I'll have the list to you for later this afternoon of the crewmen I am most concerned about.
Excellent. For the time being, I think our best bet is to try to project a sense of calm and readiness, and let the crew know that we have every confidence in them and in the ship. I know people have had their confidence shaken, but it's the duty of the command staff to make sure they understand that we trust them to do their jobs, we trust the ship, and we trust each other. Understood?
Understood, sir.
If I might interject just for a moment, I imagine this is taking place in the ready room, yes?
Yes.
All right, Captain, as I imagine you're either standing next to your desk or seated behind it, I'm actually going to do our first threat spend for today. That you look over at your desk computer, and it literally is just displaying 3 words. Just says, please remain calm. That's all it says, is please remain calm.
I take it I didn't program that, or...
No, this is... You don't know why it's doing this.
At my communicator. Corin to Conray?
Yes?
Has anyone been in my ready room this afternoon?
This afternoon? No.
Sorry to bother you, Commander.
Oh, first you tell me not to go easy on you, then you tell me to go easy. What is it? I feel like we're going to have to figure out a dynamic here that works.
I'm sure we'll figure that out in time.
I hope so. I've got 3 bars of Latin with Rendak that says you quit within a week.
3 bars.
Yes.
That's it. I'm almost
Well, I was going to
offended.
go in for 5, but, I only get so much on stipend.
Well, I'll try not to disappoint.
Anyways, carry on. I just wanted to interject.
I think what's funny is I love that the captain is projecting calm on like the bridge. I feel like in engineering it's goblin mode. Like he's just like, yeah, get over there and get that going. We got to keep this ship together. Like it's more like chaos, but like good chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I keep them busy, they don't have time to think about it.
It's like
probably,
it's like what they do on lower decks with the Cerritos. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. He's kind of running around. He's reminding them like, just remember that it was. Hold on, look at. I can look at roll of acquisition number 62. Says the riskier the road, the greater the profit. That also means a scientific discovery, my friend.
And I think they just sort of look at you and then nod and run off to do whatever duties you've assigned them. But yeah. So, Manetti, I have a fun little thing for you since you're at the con. If you are ready for it.
Always ready.
All right. So, no pressure. I need you to give me a reason and a science. And if somebody can grab the ship is assisting with a sensor's science. Now, the ship is a bit advanced for its capabilities. And what I mean by that is we are using the Imperial class, which is basically an upgraded sovereign. And this particular vessel has a large number of, shall we say, esoteric traits for a sovereign. One of them is advanced sensor suites. And what this means is that for every time a ship sensor is used in a roll, the ship rolls 2d20 for an assistance rather than just 1 die. Now, if you're confused what that means, I'll break it down for you as everybody gets their character sheets in line. Basically, when I say something like reason science or presence command, I'm asking the players to add 2 numbers together to create a target number. Then we are rolling a pool of dice to get under that target number on each die. And when I say something like difficulty of 1, difficulty of 2, difficulty 3, etc., that's how many successes underneath that target number I need to see in the dice pool. And you'll kind of get an idea of what the whole thing is as we keep going. But I do encourage both the players and people at home that if you are confused with one of the mechanics we are using, please speak up, throw it in the comments, throw it in Twitch chat, or if you're a player, just yell at me and say, ELH, stop talking, I'm confused, and we'll figure it out. But as a reminder, Manetti, this is a reason and science for you. And whoever gets the Babylon is rolling 2d20 and always has a focus.
I'll do the Babylon.
Okay.
And I'll be using technical expertise if it's necessary to either reroll one of my d20s or one of the ships.
Very good.
You said Babylon was rolling 2d20?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. And
it's sensor science for the
I
Babylon.
will reroll that complication.
I'll say, yeah, I mean, That's always an auspicious thing when you roll a complication for the first 20. That's great.
Do I need to wait to roll the ship till he's done?
No, you can go ahead and roll the ship.
Okay. Using focus, 2d20.
Okay, so
4
that is a
successes
grand total of 4 successes, and it was a difficulty of 1, so you get 3 momentum. Now you're probably wondering, ELH, what is this momentum and this threat that you keep speaking of? This is a meta currency that exists in pretty much every 2d20 system Odivius has ever put out. It basically is things that the players can use for buying extra dice, asking questions, creating advantages and scene traits, and a bunch of other cool things. Threat is my meta currency, and it lets me just be an asshole, is the nice way to put it. But in a fun way. It's not an, oh, and rocks fall, everybody dies. It's a, oh, and rocks fall over here and injure a crewman. You should probably deal with that kind of a thing. But no, so you go from 2 momentum up to 5. And Minetti, I have good news for you on a long-range scan. Let me read it for you. So, the Heptaeus system ahead of you, standard class G star, similar to Sol, our actual star in real life. And it's got a colossal red giant, gas giant, that's orbited by 2 moons. Now, one of these moons is a class Y demon planet. It's basically lava and sulfur everywhere. And the other moon is a class M world, sort of covered entirely by one giant rainforest. Now, there's no traces of any recent warp activity either coming or going from the system, which is odd because you should be seeing something for the ship, the Zamboanga, that was here. And speaking of the Zamboanga, there's no sign of any wreckages or debris that could belong to it or any other vessel. But there's one other thing I gotta tell you, Minetti, and that the more you stare at these sensor readings, the more an inexplicable sense of dread fills your heart. Something is wrong here. Very wrong. And then your console very briefly just flashes, please remain calm, and goes back to normal.
Would I be able to use my science officer talent, since I just succeeded using the sensors, to try and recall if, as my question, recall if I've read in any of the ship's prior logs of anomalies, if I've read anything of the sort?
Yeah, that could be your free question as a science officer. So what I will tell you is that, as was mentioned in the opening log, this is kind of a Bermuda Triangle type region that the star system exists in. So there are tons of stories of ships going in, getting lost, going missing. Sometimes somebody will go in and come out a completely different person. This is a, for lack of a better term, this is the kind of area of space that you either have your brown pants on or you are just really loving the science, if you get my meaning.
Okay. Well, his initial reaction is to be creeped out when the message flashes across his panel. But then he looks behind him, like at the other like ensigns on the bridge, and like trying to see if anyone's like playing a prank on him.
No.
Probably obviously enough to catch the eye of the the commander.
Yeah, and basically you're looking around, none of the ensigns, none of the lieutenants or anything are going for it. Conrad, just sort of when you catch his eye, he goes, "Is there something amiss, Lieutenant Commander?"
Something just flashed across my console. I'm uncertain what would have caused it, but
Well, what did it say?
Please remain calm.
Okay. Are you calm?
I would say more so now than most times. I would say I'm a bit in my element.
Okay, then we'll chalk it up to system error and we'll call it a happy circumstance.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, I would say that at this point, unless Grok and Corn, did you have anything else in your conversation before I pull you back onto the bridge?
No, I think we were probably due to come back out.
I assumed I had been dismissed by that point.
You never know.
Back in sick bay now.
All right. So, Corin, you come back onto the bridge. Conrad gets out of your chair. And as you all continue to approach the Hevtea system, Minetti, your feeling of dread is getting worse. And you don't know why. And it's not to the point where you're like having trouble functioning, but it's kind of like the hair on the back of your neck is standing up, and it's like, something isn't right here.
So
And
he's very much been trying to play it cool up until this point because he did like personally request this assignment, and so he wants to look good, but now he's starting to like show visible signs of being shaken a little bit.
And to make the captain's job even worse, Captain, as you look around the bridge, it's not just Minetti who's experiencing this unease. It's everyone on the bridge except for you and Conra.
Just kind of take note of that, and for the moment decide it's better to not call it out. Jack, any sign of the Zamboanga? Debris, warp trail, unusual particle traces, anything?
Oddly, nothing, sir. Not not even a scrap of broken hull, not even a little trace of warp trails, nothing.
That's not reassuring. What
And
was
yeah.
their last known position?
Well, as you ask that question, one of the ensigns is going to report. Sir, their last known position was just off the Class J gas giant. And then, she kind of does that blinking thing where, like, she just got a massive headache. I don't know. Go, Sir, I think I need to go to sick bay.
All right, Ensign, thank you. Doctor? Sorry, I assumed he was still on the bridge with us, so...
That's up to you. Grok, do you want to be on the bridge or do you want to be back in sick bay?
I had assumed I'd headed back to sick bay afterwards. I mean, after having a meeting with the captain. So I'm probably in sick bay at this point.
Okay.
Okay.
Do
Then
you need someone to
just
assist you, Ensign?
Sorry, say again?
He was asking her if she needed someone to assist her to sick bay.
Sorry. No, I think I'll be... And then she grabs, like, one of those under trash bins that's, like, underneath a console and just rolfs into it. And to make matters worse, Gra, down in sick bay, you are getting a lot of heebie-jeebies, a lot of cases of heebie-jeebies, where the crew from across the vessel is slowly coming into your sick bay, experiencing high levels of anxiety, high levels of stress, and there is, as far as you can tell, nothing really in common of where this is spreading, what the cause is, but it is a bit of a medical mystery.
Well, needless to say, I'm going to, well, first of all, just going to address the physical challenges, if there are any. Somebody who's nauseous, somebody who's got other physical conditions, those can be addressed immediately. And then after that, try and figure out if there's any, well, of my people working with me, try and figure out if there's any other commonalities going on here.
Okay. Why don't you roll me a reason or insight? It'll be either. So reason or insight plus medicine at a difficulty of 2.
Okay, I will throw you a threat
Okay.
so I can scoop another die. Yeah. And would this, I have first response, which is a first aid. No, this is not really first aid in combat, so never mind. Ignore that.
Oh, good. It's all for
It's all
flavor.
for flavor. Yeah. Okay, so that's going to be, from my calculation, it's going to be 3 dice. And there we go.
Oof.
That's not good. That's not a good start.
No, it isn't. And since you got no successes, I can't even offer you a success with a complication here. So I think what that is you are just you can't tell what the causes of this at this point. It could be psychic field, it could be Q playing tricks, could be a misalignment of the tertiary adjunct warp nacelle. There's so many things that could be causing this that you have no way of knowing what is causing this.
May I offer a suggestion?
Sure.
I think he has bold medicine. He could re-roll one
Ah,
of those dice.
yes, thank you for reminding me. Yes, Grok, you can actually
Reroll one.
attempt to reroll one of those die and go for a crit.
I believe in you, Grok.
I wish I did right now.
Can do
Still
you.
a 15.
Feeling it
Well,
here. I think Grok, quite honestly, he was disturbed when he went to see the captain, and it's just all cycling into a much bigger issue, and he can't pick it out, and that's what's making him even more frustrated and upset.
all right. Now it is at this time that you finally arrive on the edge of the Hevtea system. The Babylon drops out of warp, and once again we see a star much like Sol, much like our star in real life. You see a very large red gas giant. You see the two moons that are circling it. And, Minetti, if you would care to give me another reason science assisted by the ship sensor science, this time it's a difficulty of 3. But thanks to chat, you are at 6 momentum, and well, look at that. Chat just gave me threat 2, so thank you, chat.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes on both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bad chat, no biscuit.
I will go ahead and spend the momentum to get an extra die, but for some reason it's not letting me click it down. If somebody else would be able to do that, I would
I gotcha.
greatly appreciate it.
So 3
And
dice.
is this another sensors?
This is another sensors. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, that's already 2 successes, so as long as the ship gets you at least 1 success on the sensor science, remember the ship is 2d20 for sensor stuff, you will be good to go.
Is somebody rolling that, or do I need to roll it again?
I think you've been nominated as the official ship roller.
I mean, I am the engineer. I got to keep this thing rolling. It makes sense. Okay. Form test. Always with a focus. Oh, dang.
Wow.
Good job,
There
ship.
we go.
I got this thing running like a well-oiled machine.
So we enter into our first interesting scenario because you have 5 successes. It was a difficulty of 3, which means you have 2 momentum from this, but you can only store up to 6 momentum, which means that after I tell you what the sensor scan says, you can either ask a question for free because you're a science officer. You can ask a second question using that point of floating momentum. Or what you could do, instead of letting the floating momentum go away, is you could create a trait, or what was once known as an advantage in first edition. So let me tell you what you learn, and then I'll kind of walk you through your choices here. So, Minetti, you once again, you see everything that the previous sensor scan saw, except this time there are material fragments of duranium on the both moons. And interestingly, the Class Y moon is labeled Tangal, while the second one is labeled Unglo. And I'll put those in Foundry chat so that you know which is which. But it's really weird, Minetti, where for a moment when you pulled up this data, It was just like a random string of numbers and letters that didn't really mean anything, and then those random numbers and letters became those two words that were labeling those moons. And if that wasn't bad enough, Minetti, I'm actually going to spend 2 more thread here, because I have so much of it, to say... How do I want to say this? Minetti, are you aware that she is watching us? That she can see everything? That we bathe in her light? Not light, but blood? And this is going to activate a scene trait, wherein for everybody on the ship, and I mean everybody, any insight and reason tasks until this trait is dealt with, either via medical stuff, via some engineering kind of thing, however you deal with this trait or don't deal with it, everybody's insight and reason is going to be an increased complication range of 18 to 20. And this is kind of an amplification of the earlier trait that I spent for that was kind of causing that unease in the crew. Now that unease has a tangible mechanical form.
So that bit of dialogue about she, was that like something I heard mentally, or was it something I just thought?
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't talk to anybody about a she. Nope.
Because that's what I would have wanted to use my science officer question on, is who is she? To ask back in that moment, but I can come up with another use for it. Can I specifically remember the random strings of numbers? Obviously, you don't have to come up with like the string of number name for the planet, but can I like remember them enough to like be sure that that is what was originally in our records?
If you give me a momentum, yes.
All right, I'll go ahead and do that.
Okay, that takes care of your floating momentum. Then yes, Minetti, and you can make up the numbers just as well as I can in this instance. Yeah, you literally watch the system name itself in real time.
Captain.
What is it, Jack?
Do we have any technicians working on the databanks at the moment?
Not to my knowledge, but we could ask Rendak. You having some kind of issue?
The 2 moons orbiting the gas giant in the system. Originally, in our databanks, they only had numerical designations. They had no proper names. But I'm almost certain before my eyes, I just saw the names change from numerical designation to actual names on my console.
I see. At that point, Corin will get up and approach the helm console and look at his display. Tangal and Unglo. Don't suppose those names mean anything to anyone else?
Can't say it means anything to me.
Not in any of the languages I speak.
First, please remain calm. And now someone is naming moons.
As you say that, despite his composure focus, Minetti turns sheet white. What was that, sir? What did you just say?
On my console in my ready room, there was a message that simply said, "Please remain calm."
It's the same message, just scroll across my console.
I don't like someone editing the computers on my ship without my knowledge. Bridge to engineering.
This is Rendak here.
Rendak, do we have anyone making modifications to the computer systems at the moment?
course not. Why would we do that here? We had plenty of time to work on everything back in space dock.
That was what I thought. Can we get some
What's going
computer
on?
specialists to work? We've got someone who's interfering with the computers, generating messages on consoles, renaming items in the databanks.
Huh. Well, there's limited access to the computer core. I'll go check it out personally and take one of my guys with me.
They may be wreaking
Thank you,
havoc with our
Commander.
sensors as well. I wasn't picking up any traces of duranium until just a few moments ago, and I'm detecting duranium fragments scattered next to both of the moons.
Over the board, uranium is like ship hull, right?
Yep.
Okay. Rendeck would respond, well, uranium's used in the construction of ship hulls, so unfortunately, I think you found your ship, Captain.
Well, there have been a number of ships lost in this region, so the duranium could be from any number of them.
Well,
The
perhaps
fact
if
of the
we
matter
could...
is, we can't be much of a science ship if we can't trust our own sensor readings.
Right. I'll get a diagnostic going.
All right. Let's focus on Rendak there for a little bit. So Rendak, you grab a few of your people and head to the computer core. And when you're into the main computer core, it's just kind of two columns of blue shimmering light of just subspace mechanically working computers, if I remember how the systems work in this time period. There's also some bioneural gel packs as well. But nobody's in here. Like, there's nobody in here messing with your computer. There's nobody scheduled to be in here. There's nothing wrong. And in fact, you do a sensor scan with your tricorder, everything's fine. It's working as it should.
Well, then I think at that point I'm going to head to the bridge because I think Rendeck is assuming something is wrong with the controls maybe at this point. So he's gonna kind of hook and roll his eyes and shake his head. Silly human, can't even operate the sensors. I'll go help him.
Now, Rendak, this is an above-table question.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly about Ferengi, they can't have their minds read, correct?
Correct. They are incapable of being psionically read.
Then you are immune to the reason and insight trait.
Heard. In fact, I imagine Rendick is really confused at why everybody's freaking out. Like, he doesn't understand it. He's just chalking it up to, like, people being afraid to push for a little profit. So he'll make his way to the bridge and kind of meander over to where the console is and be like, let me take a look at this thing, make sure there's nothing acting up. I mean, we did just get it fixed in space dock, and, I couldn't oversee everything, so who knows? Maybe the EPS conduits are wonky or something. I don't, there's no really reason, as far as I know, this would be happening. The computer core is fine, so I don't even know why does everybody look so freaked out?
Seems to be pervasive. You're unaffected?
I mean, no, I'm not affected at all. I'm just, everyone's freaking out in engineering, and I've had 2 people throw up, and they say they're all uneasy, and I'm like, we're in space. We're flying through space. We're doing Starfleet things. What's so scary about this?
I have 9 threat. I'm going to spend 2 of it.
Oh no.
To say that everybody but Rendak, and I mean you too, Gra, down in sickbay, everybody on the ship, except Rendak, you see a momentary vision in your mind of the red gas giant, and it causes all of you to experience an involuntary shiver. And all of you can feel this palpable sense of hostility emanating from it. But then that moment, that momentary vision, that momentary, shiver down your spine, it's gone. And to make sure it's not just all bad, that's when the comms array picks up the U.S.S. Zamboanga's distress call. The problem is that it's coming from each of the 2 moons.
Each of the 2 moons?
Yep.
How can one distress call be coming from 2 places?
I don't know, but you really should remain calm.
Is the Zamboanga equipped with bridge separation technology?
It is not.
That shouldn't be happening, Captain.
Understood.
Seems like a lot of things today shouldn't be happening.
Would Captain Corin have the sort of generalized background knowledge to know about Ferengi resistance to sort of psionic abilities?
I think it's a fair assumption that as captain, you would be aware of such. Mm-hmm.
Is there a role I can make to sort of quantify making that connection that this is probably some psionic effect that we're all under?
Yeah, why don't you roll me a insight and command at a difficulty of 1.
Okay. Possibly a stretch, but would spatial anomalies as a focus apply?
Sure.
Okay. And the complication range is still at 18?
Yep, for you, 18 to 20.
Okay. I would like to spend it's a difficulty of 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'll still like to spend 1 momentum for an extra die.
Okay.
Because I like to push the odds in my favor if I can.
Well, I have good news for you. You got 4 successes, so you not only go back up to full capped momentum of 6, you've got
Nice.
2 floating momentum to make an advantage and or trade with. So yeah, Captain, you can make that connection in character that, yes, Rendak is immune to an effect like this because it is psionic in nature.
Rendak, how could
Yes,
we
Captain.
shield the Babylon from psionic effects?
Well, normally it's biologically produced, Captain. We might have to get the doctor up here. He might be able to help us with it. That being said, if it's based on some sort of energy and we can identify that, then maybe there'd be a way to, emit a counter beam of some sort, perhaps.
We've got one of the most advanced deflector dishes in the fleet.
We do.
I feel like there's got to be something we can do to stop whatever the source of this unease is, because it's affecting everyone's performance except yours.
Ah, well, you can't read a Ferengi's mind, but it's bad for profit. That being said, like I said, if it's biological, we'll probably need the doctor's help, unless Jack here can identify an energy of some sort that's emanating it, maybe.
I sure can try.
Okay. So, Grok, one of the things that I say about all my games, especially for CMOs and sickbay or chief engineers and engineering, you are always made aware of what's going on the bridge. It's not like, oh, that somebody has to call out and specifically tell you something is going on. Just as a player, know that you are kept in the loop. So you can jump in at any time that you feel necessary. I just wanted to make that expectation. But Minetti, if you want to attempt this would be a reason and science, once again. This would be a sensor operation. But this time, the Babylon is rolling a sensor's medicine. So it still gets 2d20, but it's rolling sensor's medicine instead. I'm also going to tell you that this is our very first difficulty 5 roll. So I need to see 5 successes here.
Oh, Lord. And this is complication range 18 to 20?
That is correct. Now, to
Lord.
set you up for success, if you bring in Gra and have them assist you with their medicine, they could assist with a reason medicine of their own. You could also ask Rendak for some kind of reason engineering. The only thing I have to tell you is that this is a second edition change, is that for every assist after the first, you have to spend 1 momentum or 1 threat. So, Minetti, you are doing your roll, and then the ship is doing its roll, and then whoever assists after that is an additional momentum or threat spend.
It's difficulty 5. I personally think it's worth it. What do you guys think?
I definitely think you should spend momentum to get some more dice for you. The only advantage I would say to Rendak assisting is the fact that he's not affected by the telepathic stuff, so he wouldn't have the same complication range. Or does that, or is when he's assisting, would he still have that same complication range, or no?
No, so Rendak,
Okay.
you on your assists, on your actual rolls, you are not affected by this.
Okay. So having him assist you might be beneficial just because there's less complication to it.
And it costs how much to buy 2 dice?
3
From 2 to 4?
momentum, 3 threat, or 1 momentum, 2 threat, or 2 threat, or 1 threat and 2 momentum.
May I offer some assistance as well?
If you tell
Can
me
I
how.
use the commanding officer ability to basically spend momentum, spend determination to give Minetti a determination he can spend without having to link it to a value?
Yeah, you certainly may do that. So, Minetti, you now have the ability to spend determination. And as you're debating that, I'll explain for the people at home. Determination is kind of like inspiration in Dungeons and Dragons. It is something where a determination basically ties into a character's value. And values are just a fancy way of saying my character believes in this, or my character believes so and so, or acts in this way. And as long as you can tie what you're doing to one of these values, you can use this inspiration, this determination. And determination is very important for 2 special ways. The first is if you use it before any dice are rolled, you basically start with 2 free successes. After a roll, you can use determination to re-roll as many dice as you wish in your pool. So it's a very powerful tool that helps you get those high difficulty successes.
So, a question, did he say that it doesn't require the spending of a value, or it does?
I don't think it does, but what I will tell you, the
Because I have
specific
one that
wording.
fits really well here if I can use it for flavor.
Well, the reason I put it in chat so we can all read it, it says it does not have to be, which means it still can. And the reason I'm making that distinction is because the way advancement works in 2nd edition is you have to use values. And every time you use a value, you either positively or negatively, you should mark down that you've used that value. Because every time you use a value, you get to change your character sheet a little bit at the end of the mission. And if you use a value twice, well, you get to add things to your character sheet. And if you make it 3 times, you get the idea.
All right, well, the value I'd like to use for this is going to be sensors can't tell you everything.
I like it.
I will spend, unfortunately, it's still not letting me click down our momentum. I will spend to get up to 4 dice, so 2 additional dice.
Okay.
And I will use that determination.
Make sure it is checked in the roller.
And then I believe we were going to be spending additional 1 momentum, 1 threat for the additional 2 officers helping.
Well, it would be 1 momentum or 1 threat.
Oh, I thought both of them were keen to help.
Oh, no, I see the confusion now. No, so the spend is 1 momentum or 1 threat per assistant. So it's not 1 momentum, 1 threat unless you wanted to split it up that way.
I just figured I didn't want to give you a whole bunch more threat because we're probably going to get some anyways.
Yeah.
Fair.
So I'll leave it to you two to decide who spends the threat, who spends the momentum. But I will go ahead and roll my dice here.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no!
Oh no.
Oh,
Am I
boy.
using the sensors?
You are.
I will re-roll one of those complications.
This is going to be one of those games, I can tell already. Peter when the dice fell. And if you know that reference, good on you. You've been on the channel long enough. Oh, Lord. Oh, my God.
Oh, no,
okay.
No!
Okay, I'll roll for the ship now.
Okay,
Oh,
well,
no.
we're up to 3. We're up to 3. So if an assist does crit, or if both Rendak and Grok both
Okay.
get their assist, we can still succeed here, but there's 2
3
complications.
I would
Go ahead.
cutting edge medicine. I'd like to if I can use this on it anyway, because it is a difficulty 3 or higher, right?
It is. Let me look at it.
Yeah.
So you could spend up to 3, and for every momentum you spend, you reduce the difficulty by 1.
Hmm. So I'm going to spend 1 momentum on that.
Okay. So it comes down to a difficulty of 4.
Okay, and yeah, let's do difficulty 4. And if I spend 1 threat, I can use my bold medicine as well, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
is okay. So I'll do that. So I get 2 dice, right?
Oh, no. Sorry.
Bold.
On an assist, you cannot buy additional dice. So you're only ever rolling 1 die in an assist unless you're something special like the ship, which has 2d20 in some instances.
Okay, but it's a difficulty 4. There's not a hope with one die.
Well, you add to the total difficulty.
Okay.
Like you add to the total successes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, which means Rendak, unfortunately. So Grok is able to bring the difficulty down, but Grok, I need to see another assist here, and that's either going to be with momentum or with threat, just for you to do this assist.
I'll give a momentum to assist this Rendex since I don't have a complication range with this.
Okay.
And it's insight engineering, you said?
Insight or reason engineering.
I think I'll do insight engineering because and we're basically trying to figure out what's happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm going to try to be as it. Can I argue diagnostics because he's trying to figure out what's happening to the systems?
I'll give it to you.
As a focus? Okay, cool. So that's with a focus, 1d20, and here we go.
Oh,
my
no.
gosh! No complications, but dang!
So here's where we stand. You are at 3 successes with 2 complications. I can offer you, since you lowered it to a difficulty of 4, I can offer you a success with a complication. So it would not just be 2 complications, there would be 3. Or you can just simply choose to fail and have 2 complications, whichever you prefer at this point.
I know it's my role, but I leave the decision up to the captain.
My thinking is at this point, I'm not sure how big a difference there is between 2 and 3.
In for a penny,
So-
in for a pound.
Yeah, we may as well take the at least success on the roll and deal with the consequences as they may be.
Okay.
What I'm
That's
talking
my
about.
feeling.
All right.
All right, let's take our medicine.
Yep. All right. So the first thing I'm going to say is that I'm actually going to bank 2 threat for the first complication. The second complication is that every single console on the ship, every single data pad, every single tricorder except the one that Rendak is carrying is going to flash the message, "Please remain calm."
Oh.
The third complication is going to be that I'm actually going to amplify the "we are being watched" trait. So now it's
Oh,
a
no.
complication range 17 to 20 on all reason and insight.
Question.
Yes.
Does this... Well, I don't know if Rendak would even think to pay attention. I was going to ask, so obviously the helm flashes that to Minetti and the captain because they're standing over it. But it
Right?
doesn't flash that to Rendak, does it?
No.
So,
But-
okay.
You did succeed, so you are getting something for all this trials and tribulation. So, Minetti, since all your assists didn't really assist, they were just kind of there, looking at the same data. I'm going to focus on Minetti for a second. Minetti, there is a field coming from the gas giant, and it is something that is palpable. Like, you can almost like, you know the expression like cut fog with a knife? It's just kind of this like thick maze. I never know how to say it. Either way, miasma, thank you. It's coming from the gas giant. You have the frequency for it, but it is, like I said, it is palpable.
Mr. Rendak, I'm sending some data down to you now. In the event that the effects continue to intensify as we approach closer, I will be relying on you more and more to give me the accurate sum of what's happening.
Okay. I'll head over to the engineering console to get. I'll go, I guess, to a console in the back like there usually is, and pull up the engineering on the bridge.
Okay. So Rendak, you're looking at the scans, and you see this field, you see the frequency it's operating at. Now comes the hard part, techno-babbling your way to success.
Give me a second. I can come up with this.
There's a
Also,
lot
by the
of
way,
profit in our ship not crashing right now, so...
There is, yeah. Also, real quick, because I don't know if I did it for everybody's account, but in Foundry, if you see kind of where the player list is, you should see a little folder icon to the right of that says Browse Macro Directory. There should be a Technobabble macro in there that you can drag to that hotbar. You click it, it gives you Technobabble.
I've got some stuff pulled up as well. I'll use. He's going to kind of rub his chin for a second and be like, Mum always said I had the lobes for engineering, but I must say, this miasma's really playing the game on y'all. But what I can do, I think, is why don't we calibrate the deflector dish to emit a low-frequency theta band? If we do that, we can maybe push the miasma enough out away from the ship. I might be able to modulate the shields to kind of serve as a sort of barrier between the ship and the miasma. But I'll have to get just the right frequency, or it'll seep through and, well, you guys will probably lose your minds or something.
It's the best plan I've heard so far. Make it so.
Aye, aye.
Okay. So, Rendak, the pressure is now on you.
Good.
Because in order to overcome this trait, this level 3 trait, it starts at a difficulty of 3. However, you've given the GM ideas in your monologuing. I'm going to say that the complication range is 18 to 20. Now, this isn't a psychic effect affecting you. It's just the complication range is there to just be a little bit mechanical and make it a little bit interesting, if you get my meaning.
Yeah.
Now, I will offer you a devil's deal. If you want to go for a difficulty 4 instead, no complication range. And if it affects your decision any, this would be a daring and engineering. And the ship would assist you with a structure engineering.
Okay. I don't really have a focus that applies here, I don't think.
Let's take a look.
I mean,
there is a way we could theoretically fudge it if you're telling.
I'm going to go with persuasion. I would like to convince this moon to leave me alone.
No, unfortunately, persuasion will not help you here. I'm sorry.
I didn't think so. I don't think I really have a good focus for this because if I were to techno babble like using like a warp bubble or something to do it, but that's not what I did. I did shields in the deflector dish. So,
which I should qualify for anybody curious why I'm not giving additional things for this. The fact that the Babylon has the advanced deflector dish as a trait is why this is even possible. So it's kind of something where you're already getting a unique benefit from the ship being a ship. And Chat has done 2 things for you. 1, Chat's giving you another momentum, but Chat has also given me another 2 threats. So deal with that as you will.
Ooh, Wendy. Well, I guess
that taketh away.
I guess what I'll do. So you said my choices are either 3 difficulty with a higher complication range, or 4 with
difficulty none. And I also want to set you guys up for success because, Mr. Minetti, you use determination, which means you get another momentum, bringing you up to 3.
You know what? Like, maybe it's just too early to use it, but like, I would like to use a determination, actually.
Okay.
And the value I want to use is friendship is profit, and I must hoard my wealth. My crew and my friends are in danger, and I have to protect them, because without them, there is no profit.
Okay, I like it.
So I will use determination. I will shoot for the 3 successes, I think, with the higher complication range.
Okay.
I am going to use determination. I am going to spend a momentum. Oh, wrong way. Go back down. There we go. I'm going to spend 1 momentum that'll give me 3 dice. Do you guys want me to spend and get another dice? Well, the ship's also assisting me. That'll be 3 dice, and then I guess 1d20 from the ship, right?
Yep.
Yep.
What do you guys think? Should I go for 4 dice so we can get rid of the complication trait, or
I mean, I'd be fine with it,
okay?
or I'd also be fine with assisting, whichever works best.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Whatever you guys think's best.
I know it's not very Ferengi, but spend.
Okay, I'll spend 2 more to get a 4th dice, and then the ship can assist me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think I'm ready to roll my first pool here.
Well, that's already 4 successes. Well done there.
Word. So now I need to roll for the
Profit is in the
Structure
wind.
engineering.
structure engineering. Okay.
I can roll for the ship if you want.
Yeah, if you would, that'd be lovely.
Oof.
Okay, I won't do that anymore. I'm sorry.
Well, it's okay. I'm the engineer. I just know it well. I love it. It's my baby.
So, let me just make sure, because doesn't
Question.
strong paw? Nope, not strong paw. Somebody has a talent here that applies. Hold on, let me quickly look at everybody's talents.
I have technical expertise, which would allow us to reroll the computer thing, but I think it only works when it assists me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only when it assists you, and it's only when it's computers or sensors.
Yeah.
No, positive reinforcement wouldn't help here. Okay, I think I know what I want to do here. So, Rendak, I have good news and I have bad news. Which do you want first?
I would like the good news first because we've gotten a lot of bad recently.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So, the good news is that you can modify the deflector and the shielding to block out the effect, meaning anyone on the Babylon will not have to deal with that trait. But the trait isn't going to go away. It's still going to be there. And this is where the bad news comes into play. Because remember that distress call that put off, from both of those moons aboard the gas giant? Yeah. I don't know how to tell you this, but there's a lot of life signs on those planets. A lot of life forms. And there are nominally some surviving crew on the Zamboanga. Both parts of it, supposedly. And I can't tell you to remain calm because you're immune, but everybody else, you got to remain calm.
All right, well, Rendek will notify. All right, you guys should start to feel better in just a second.
Yeah, you push the button, and everybody, you feel better.
Oh, thank you, Commander.
Of course.
And yeah, it is at this point that Conra just sort of shakes his head and goes, "Okay, whatever the heck that was, I don't want to be dealing with it again. But distress call, sir. It's just a repeating SOS message, no real data in it, but I have sensor coordinates if we wish to beam down or send a shuttle."
If we send a shuttle, they won't be protected from whatever this field is. We'll have to approach and try to do this the old-fashioned way. Well, I say old-fashioned. We'll still be trying to beam them up.
Rendek steps forward and says, "Well, sure, if I need to go to the planet, I'll go down since I'm unaffected."
They've
If
been
you're
subjected
sending
to this. Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
The people down there have been subjected to this for a lot longer than we have. I don't want to think about what the state of things are like down there if we do send an away team. If it's possible, I'd prefer to just pull them up and we'll treat their issues aboard the ship.
Captain, if I could make a suggestion.
Of course.
The lobes are not just for engineering. They're pretty good at persuading people as well sometimes. But anyway, that being said, if this is psychic in nature, then there must be some sort of sentience that's reaching out to us. Perhaps we should try to establish communication.
I've considered that, but I think they've already established the communication they want to have. Do you have any suggestions on how we might
Well,
approach them differently?
we have the frequency. We could attempt to. Well, have we reached out to them yet? Because apparently they're telling you guys all kinds of stuff. If I knew what was going on, I could help negotiate the deal. But I'm not getting the same voodoo juju.
It's an interesting proposition. Communications. They've already used our systems to send text messages. Can we try to send a text message on this same frequency?
I'm just debating how to phrase this.
Question: I might be able to help here.
Yes.
So if the captain says this out loud, is it within? I mean, Rendek's got a 3 science and a 5 engineering. He knows without a doubt. There's no messages coming through the computer system, right?
Right.
So I think at that point he would kind of interject and be like, "Captain, I don't think it's through the system. The ship's fine. It's not coming through the ship. It's all in your noggin. Do we have any telepathic species on board, perhaps?"
There is a Betazoid ensign working in my department. Whether he would be comfortable with the task would be another question, but might as well ask him.
I spend 2 threat that we're going to give Mr. Betazoid Ensign a name. His name will be Frank, because I'm obviously in lack of good naming, but his name will be Frank for the time being. You get a report from a security team outside of Frank's quarters that apparently Frank is holed up in his room, shooting phaser blasts out the door. It's just a whole thing. Screaming something about remaining calm and how everybody needs to chill.
I never liked Frank.
You've known him for a week. How could you hate him already?
Have you ever met a Ferengi?
Okay, fair point. Fair. You know
He's
what?
unprofitable.
I'm gonna retract that statement.
He's a perfectly serviceable stellar cartographer when he's not deciding to have a shootout in his quarters.
Well, I took my money at a poker game for tonight, so we got a little beat.
Well, if reaching out isn't going to be our best option, which, given the behavior of our dear Ensign Frank, it seems that reaching out or having any sort of additional sensitivity may be a bad thing. We may be forced to go down ourselves.
Perhaps the doctor could inoculate us somehow. Maybe reduce the parts of your brain that picks up on the telepathy. He could always check out my own biology and see what does it for our people.
In any event, if we're going down there, Captain, I volunteer. You're going to need a good pilot.
Understood.
I've been doing some research, Captain. We've never used it in circumstances like this, but I'm thinking psionic neural stabilization procedures. They have been used in other circumstances where large amounts of psionic power has been encountered. Might help to stabilize people before we send them down.
All right. Mr. Connery, you will keep the con. I will go Commander Rendak, Commander Minetti. Doctor, would you care to join us?
I think it would be good, sir. There could be more than just psionic problems down on the...
I'm almost certain there will be.
Well, and just to make sure, who knows what kind of anomalies we're going to run into down there. I'm going to grab some. So I know before you go to a next scene, I have the Great Material Continuum. ELH, can I use that? Because it reduces the opportunity cost to 0 to obtain equipment to get some maybe transport the name form where it
Transport
stabilizes
enhancers.
pattern buffer enhancers. Yeah, I think as part of his plan to go down, Rendek wants to acquire some of those before they leave the ship, just in case.
Sure. And the one thing I will tell you, though, is depending on which moon you go down on, if you go down to Tengal first, you actually will get EV suits for free because it's a Class Y moon. You need an EV suit to survive on the moon, so it is obviously free.
Okay.
But I suppose that becomes the operative question. Which of the 2 moons do you want to go down to? As a reminder, Tengal is the Class Y demon planet, where the primary hull of the Zamboanga is, and the second moon, Unglo, is the rainforest moon and where the secondary hull is.
Question over the board: would having a 5 engineering skill and being like that's my jam? Would I know where the black box should be, like which hull it actually should be on?
Well, about that.
Based on the class of the ship.
See, it's funny you say that because I have 10 threat, and I think I'm just gonna go ahead and spend 2 of it. That if the sensor scans are correct, then the deck which contains the black box is missing.
I will inform the captain of that just randomly as I'm like, is it maybe he's looking at his tracker and he's like, oh, by the way.
We should probably go down to the less hospitable planet. Those people are likely to be in greater need of assistance. And that's the primary hull.
All right. Sounds like we are going to Tengal. But before we go, I want to give our lovely Klingon CMO another chance to shine. So you came up with a rather ingenious bit of medical babble, which I always applaud. If you would like to affect it to yourself and the away team, if you could give me a daring medicine at a difficulty of 1.
Daring medicine, difficulty 1. So I don't get the extra complications on this one then.
Correct.
Okay. And I will definitely use my bold medicine, so I'll throw in a threat to an extra die. Would this come under emergency medicine as a focus?
Because you said it was, based on how you phrased it earlier, I'll give it to you.
Okay. Thank you. Gee, you're nice. Let's see if the dice will be nice for a change.
Okay, well, you can re-roll one of those, but you do have the 1 success already.
I'll re-roll. Complications never happen, right?
Yeah.
He said it, not me.
No guts, no glory. Do it.
Hey,
What?
look at that.
Hey,
That's 2
Look at
momentum
you building
for
momentum.
you. There you go.
You a
So,
star
yeah.
doc.
Grok, you apply the stabilization procedure to everybody, and what I'm going to tell you is that as long as your character is conscious, and I want that to be very clear, whenever your character is conscious, you are immune to the "we are being watched" trait. However, if at any point your character becomes unconscious, gets knocked out, experiences 3 complications at once, suddenly looks up and see 4 people looking down at them from a great cosmic continuum, however the heck your character gets knocked out, then you lose this special trait. Psionic Neuralization Stabilization Procedure. Thank you. I love it. I love it. In fact, have a momentum. I'm feeling nice. Have a momentum. Why not? But my next question is, are you going down via transporter or via shuttle? In fact, you would actually have runabouts on this vessel as well.
What's the, or can Jack scan maybe to see what the, I just want to, is it safe to use the transporters? I think it's question one.
Well, since you have pattern enhancers, the answer is yes. Without pattern enhancers, no.
Well, we have to
If
get
you
them
ask
down there.
Jack,
right?
he would always tell you that manual piloting is going to be safer, but that's just him.
Well, Captain, seems like you have to make a judgment call.
Not to mention, if we do bring a runabout, that gives us extra space to pack equipment, theoretically.
True.
It does, but bringing a runabout is another thing to break down and go wrong, is kind of my fear.
Also true.
How many people, even as a rough ballpark, do we think are down there on Tengal?
Well, since you did succeed your earlier roll, I don't even know how long ago it was at this point, there's 36 survivors on that part of the Zamboanga. But here's the problem.
All of them in one run.
Yeah, here's the problem. And I'm going to tell you this up front rather than spring it on you later. Due to atmospheric interference, even with pattern enhancers, you can only get 3 out at a time, and that includes yourself. So if you do bring a runabout, you can pack 20 people into a runabout, roughly. But there's still 36 survivors.
I would say the runabout would be okay because at least you're taking your chief engineers. So if something does happen, you have a high engineering score to keep it in the air.
We could try a bit of both. Transport the remaining 16 before we take off in the runabout.
Actually, I was going to ask, does anyone else have a reason? This is kind of an out-of-character question. Do any of the rest of us have a reasonable con score?
I mean, mine's good, but I think I might be the only one.
The big negative with my 2. I mean, 2's okay as far as Starfleet goes.
3.
2 is serviceable. 3 is better.
Because what I was thinking is Minetti could take down 1 and possibly the captain could pilot a second one. Or if that's just inviting too... I'll leave this to group consensus. If that's inviting too many things to possibly go wrong...
For me, like, I think from a sense of like being Starfleet officers, like the risk for our characters, I think even as a Ferengi, like Rendeck would be like, the risk is worth it. Like, we have to save these people. And so over the board,
there's 36 lives down there.
Yeah, a lot of stuff would go wrong, but I mean, like, welcome to Starfleet.
That's pretty much my thinking too. So unless someone else wants to take the pilot seat in the second runabout, I think the captain will pilot that himself.
Okay.
Perhaps me and the doc in one, and you and Mr. Rendak in another?
I think so. And then we can hopefully land, round everyone up, get them loaded up, and get them back to the ship in one go.
Actually, I'm not going to use... Actually, ELH, going
What's
back.
up?
I have a new idea.
Okay.
Okay, so I remembered that when the captain said, hey, people never know how they're behaving, instead of using the great material continuum for pattern buffers or enhancers, since that's not really going to do much anymore, we're taking 2 runabouts, could Rendeck take a little bit of time and build like some sort of counter emitter, like a pulsing emitter, kind of like what we did with the ship using the same concept but compact? Or could he rig the runabouts to do that so that when people get close to the runabouts, they could extend the shields out and maybe clean them, like almost like a biofilter as they come through the shields or as they walk close enough to it to unpsychic, like, hoodoo them?
I'm debating how to adjudicate this. Please hold.
Okay.
Rig up a psychic leaf blower to keep blowing
kinda.
miasma off them.
That's all I needed to hear. Psychic leaf bar. I'm on board. Let's do it.
I mean, I could roll,
Starfleet has
obviously, to
done
rig
much
it.
stranger things in the past.
So here's what I'll tell you, Rendak. I will say that your great material continuum is actually what allows you to do this in the time that you have. Meaning that you had the spare components, you had the knowledge. This is what makes the roll possible. But you're still going to have to make a roll here.
Okay.
This would be another daring engineering. I would actually give you system maintenance and emergency repairs as focuses here.
I'll take it.
The difficulty would be a 3.
Okay. Fine.
Would I be able to assist him, or is this just a he has to roll it thing?
If you tell me how.
Well, I have a talent called I Did the Reading,
Mm-hmm.
which means I can sub science for anything as long as I've done the background reading. So I'm going to use my textbook knowledge of how these systems work to basically be an extra set of hands for him to get it done faster.
I like it. You can do a daring science on your part, and I'll even sweeten the pot a little bit. Both of you working together will affect both runabouts. It won't just be one runabout, it'll be both of them.
Nice.
I know we have to spend a momentum for the assist. I'm going to also spend one for one more dice because worst case scenario, because I have a high engineering, so that's a lot of focus range.
Right. I have good
we
news
get
though.
extra back.
It's not actually one momentum for the assist because it's the first assist is always free.
Oh, so I only need one momentum to up my dice pool then.
Yep.
I'm going to do that just for the... Because we could end up getting a whole bunch. What's this difficulty on this one?
Just a 3.
Oh, just a 3. Okay, well. All right, here we go.
Well, okay, look at that. That's 5 successes. You get 2 momentum back for your troubles. And
Woo!
even better, both runabouts are now equipped with the Psychic Leaf Blower. Congratulations.
Wing. It has to make that sound too.
Academy days.
Very annoying.
And it's worse for Rendak because of the whole Ferengi ear thing. It's just a total drone, and it's terrible. All right. So, to set the scene, we have what sounds like the captain and Rendak in one runabout. We have Grah and Manetti in the other one. I'm not going to require a roll for you to get down into the atmosphere of Tengal and to the crashed site. But let me describe the scene, and then I'll tell you where we can go from here. So, as you slip down through the caustic atmosphere of the Class Y vessel, and you see the shattered saucer section of the U.S.S. Zamboanga, what you can tell is that the vessel's primary hull, the saucer section, has been cleanly sheared away from the neck that connected it to the secondary hull. What you can see of the exposed corridors is that they have been sealed with emergency bulkheads or are otherwise keeping out the environment using force fields. But that's the good news. The bad news. The bad news is that surrounding this crashed saucer are these beings which, I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but basically what would happen, imagine what would happen if you took like a person and just like pulled them apart really hard, like from torso and lower half so that they kind of rip. Imagine that, but the upper torso is floating with bat-like wings and the lower legs are... It's kind of actually funny now that I think about it. The legs are like kicking at the bulkheads while the floaty torsos are like scratching with like these talons on the ends of their fingers. It's horrific. It's cosmic horror. Welcome to the channel, everybody. But what you see is that there is a fighting force of the survivors. They are taking pot shots with phasers at these creatures to keep them away. But that's what you see as you come down through the atmosphere.
Are our comms runabout to runabout operative?
They are.
Key the comm over to the other ship. You see those creatures besieging the ship?
I sure do, Captain.
Let's see if we can send a couple of warning shots to get them to disperse. Warning shots.
Understood, sir.
Okay. So whoever wants to do the roll on the ship, or each of the runabouts, basically one runabout's going to assist the other. So you get to decide who's taking the lead and who's assisting. This is going to be a control and a security. And the difficulty on this will also be a 3.
I will not be rolling on this roll.
Okay. I will go ahead and take the lead on this one. I don't think I have any focuses that would apply here.
Unfortunately not.
Yeah.
Are you fine with me spending a momentum for did the reading?
I mean,
It
if
sure
you
would
have
give me a little extra boost.
some technobabble to apply to a couple of phaser blasts, I think that's a great idea.
He'll reference back to a maneuver that he read about in the academy that he did a lot of practicing in flight sims, and he'll put on like a fake cowboy voice and say, "Make them dance, partner."
Have a momentum. Why not? Have a momentum.
Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and... Actually, I'm going to buy 2 dice.
Okay.
The first with threat,
Okay.
and the second with momentum.
Okay.
Since I'm not using a focus here.
Okay, well, I see a total of 4 successes, which means you get a momentum right back. Well done. So, Minetti, Captain, as you all work together, you fire off a barrage of warning shots, and because Minetti put it in my mind, it's almost like the stereotypical, like cowboys shoot at the shoes and make them dance kind of a thing. You do that with both the floating parts and the kicking parts, and they do disperse a little bit, at least enough to land one of the runabouts and connect with one of the bulkheads and or force fields. The question is, which runabout is landing?
I think the
My
captain will
recommendation-
tell Minetti to land his.
All right.
Unless there's an objection, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say if you're comfortable landing first, I can keep you covered.
I need to get in there quickly.
Oh, right. The doctor needs to get it.
Yeah,
in.
that is true. So I might as well land first.
Okay. So, Minetti, you carefully bring the runabout down. You connect with a sealed part of the bulkhead. The bulkhead is basically pulled or flash welded away. And on the other side of the airlock, you are seeing... haggard is not quite the word I want to use, but these officers look absolutely rattled and pretty much unfit to even hold the phasers that they're shakily pointing in the direction of the airlock. But before anybody can start shooting out of nerves, a Cation in a torn red uniform says, "Hold your fire, hold your fire. There's Starfleet. Thank heavens you've come." And she steps forward. Who do I have the pleasure of addressing?
Lieutenant Commander Grok of the Babylon.
Lieutenant
You are?
Commander Minetti.
Okay, Grok, Minetti, great. My name is Commander Haria. I am the first officer, and I guess now commanding officer of the Zamboanga. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, one moment we were investigating Tangal, this moon that we're now on, when all of a sudden there was this immensely powerful energy lance that split the two in just instantly, just boo, 2 ship parts immediately. We crashed here. I don't know where the secondary hull is. As I said, the captain died in the crash. A lot of the key personnel have died as well. And basically, I've got like 35 other survivors that are like junior officers. As you can tell, she points at the nervous wrecks behind her. They're not doing so hot. I don't know what it is about this place. I don't know what it is about that gas giant. And she points up where the gas giant would be. But just something about your runabout feels really nice and not like I'm paranoid and stayed up for like 3 days straight. So please tell me you're going to be able to get us out of here.
That's our expectation and our hope. Have you got casualties?
Oh God, do I have casualties? Okay, you 3, and she points at junior officers, do whatever the Klingon says. Grok was his name, yes. Do whatever Grok says. And you, I don't remember your name. In fact, I don't care anymore. You help Minetti with whatever Minetti needs help with. And now we have a timed challenge.
Dun dun dun.
Because you are both evacuating, treating casualties, and you have a second runabout that has to land at some point. But I have 10 threat. So I'm going to immediately spend 2 of it to say that the creatures, whatever the heck they are massing for an assault. So I hope you're ready on those phasers, Captain. So here's how this is going to work.
Okay.
Is that every time a task is attempted, the clock is going to tick forward a little bit. And obviously it's a time challenge, which means that there is a time limit here. Now, what you do for your action is very much open. I'm going to give some examples, but if you have a better idea or you want to pitch something to me, speak up, we can make it happen. But here's some examples of things that can happen. So, for example, Captain, you can do the easy thing. You can do another control security from the runabout to disperse the crowd, or try to keep them back, or actually hit them with phasers, whatever you want to do. That's an idea. Doctor, if you want to triage, if you want to literally help carry people back to the runabout, if you want to do anything in a medical capability, that's probably like a presence medicine on your part. Manetti, if you want to do something, something that comes to mind is you could use a bit of, shall we say, creative piloting to get one of your phaser arrays just enough up that you can help the captain keep the creatures away. And then as an example for Rendak, those force fields could maybe use some extra juice on the saucer section, if you get my meaning. But again, it's open to what you all want to do. I just gave examples here.
I do have an idea.
Well, let's hear it.
In fact, I'll roleplay it.
Okay.
Captain, do you think you could get us closer to those beings?
How close do you want to get?
Well, I was just thinking, if they're linked psychically to whatever's affecting us, if that's guiding them, and we get close enough with this roundabout, the way I've rigged it up, maybe I could enhance it a little bit to be like nails on a chalkboard and disperse them.
It's an interesting idea. It doesn't involve shooting at people we don't know anything about.
Indeed, Captain. That's very in line with, I think, Starfleet's MO, and if we can maybe just scare them off, this noise I hear now is driving me nuts, but if I amplify it for them, if they can receive it psychically, I can only imagine what it would do to them. It might run them off.
Good thinking, Commander.
Thank you, sir.
Let's make it happen. I'm moving in.
All right. So you two will assist one another on this. You'll decide who's taking the lead and who's assisting. Captain, you're going to be rolling a daring con for your piloting. Rendak, you're going to be rolling a daring engineering for your part, modifying the psychic leaf blower.
I think I should roll the main because I have, how do you make it show up in chat? I have this, which would increase our impact by 1 if I roll engineering.
Okay.
That is on an extended task, but...
Oh, this isn't extended.
It's just a timed one, but I do like the flavor. I'll give you a little bit extra for it.
Yee.
But I'll explain what that extra is if you succeed the roll.
I think you rolling the main is more appropriate since I'm just piloting us down. I'm just trying not to land on them.
And I would like to argue for a focus, Starfleet protocols, because the Cat and I are both trying not to attack things that we haven't established contact with. Like, we're not trying to harm unknown creatures, which I think is very Starfleet protocol.
I would agree with that, yes. Oh, difficulty. Difficulty of 3 on this.
Okay. If the captain's gonna assist me, I'm gonna spend 1 momentum to buy an additional dice. Difficulty 3. And here we go.
Is there any enhanced complication range on this?
No, because you have the psionic neural stabilization procedure and other things as well.
Only 1 success, boo.
Okay. So I
We
tell
did
you
not do
what, I will offer you a success with 2 complications.
it. I mean, that would help us save people potentially if we get credit on the track.
True. Um, yeah, let's go ahead and try and disperse them, and we'll deal with whatever gets added on after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you swoop down and you begin using the amplified psychic leaf blower. I love saying that. You use the amplified psychic leaf blower to begin dispersing these beings. And here's the extra I was going to give you from earlier is that the creatures are repeating the same pattern of noises over and over and over again. But here's where the complications start to kick in. The first complication is that because you are using the psychic leaf blower to chase away the beings, whatever they are, Captain, you are now affected by the "we are being watched" trait again, where the what was a field is now a directed jet. So you're now affected by the trait again. The
Okay.
second complication is because you are affected by the trait, Captain, you understand what these beings are saying. And they are repeating over and over and over again. We
Can I
give
guess?
ourselves to her, for she will deliver us. And they are saying
that's
that
so much
over
worse.
and over again.
That's
And
so
Chad
much
is just redeemed both in evil and good
Mm.
redeemed, so I go up to 10 threat, and you guys go up to 3 momentum. Fun.
It's like Chet's fighting it out, and we're just the side victims here.
Um, Commander, I'm going to set us down, but I think some of that message is getting through to me now.
Understood. Do I need to disable the folk stream?
No. Uh, keep them scattered away, and I just may need you to step up a little bit once we're landed.
I'll do what I can.
Holding myself together as best I can, though.
All right. Time advances a little bit. You've dispersed the beings, which, Captain, you now know are called the Tangal. Literally the name of the moon. Coincidence, maybe. Who knows? But as you all are debating what to do next, I'm going to go back to Gra and Minetti for a bit. Gra, to say that there's our casualties is bit of an understatement. And what I mean by that is you are seeing plasma burns, you are seeing acid burns, you are seeing fractures of all kinds. It is not a pretty picture. In fact, you're pretty sure if you don't get some of these people up to the Babylon and into your sickbay as soon as possible, they're not going to make it.
All right. Do I have anyone here who has got any medical training?
Ironically, I think Minetti, what is your medicine, Minetti?
Mine is 2, but I can theoretically, if I spend momentum, replace anything with my 5 science. So
That might be.
I've
handy.
read a lot of books.
I was thinking more from a standpoint of the existing crew from the other ship.
Oh, I see what you're asking now. I would say yes, there would be a ensign who would have some medical training, but it's kind of like a Tom Paris situation where, he maybe did a little reading of Grey's Anatomy, on the weekends, but he hasn't really had to step up until now.
Okay, I need anybody I can get.
Okay.
So, because I would like Lieutenant Commander Minetti to take this ship out with the worst of the casualties, to get the worst off as fast as we can.
Okay.
Understood.
I will need help down here, obviously, if there's that many multiple casualties.
So, what I would say is, Gra, this is going to be a presence medicine for sure. I'm just looking at your talents here. I would actually say that positive reinforcement would definitely apply here.
Okay.
So anybody that you treat, you are able to give. They can re-roll their dice pool, which could become useful. Yeah, I think that's good. I am going to set the difficulty at a 3, though.
Okay. So I'm also thinking first response, attempting
Yeah.
first aid during combat. The first die you purchase is free,
Mm-hmm.
and you can always succeed at cost.
Yeah, works for me.
And bold medicine.
Yeah. So because because it is bought for free, you're already at 3d20. So if you wanted to use bold medicine to buy a 4th die, that would be 2 threat.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do that.
Okay.
I know nobody else likes threat, but I'm a fan.
There's always that one player in the
I mean,
game.
it's another way to further the plot. It's not, I don't view it as good or bad.
Same.
Focus of emergency medicine.
Definitely would apply.
I would think this works here, and trauma surgery if necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and complication range, because it's presence, it's not insight or reason, so I don't have any extra complication, right? Just want to make
Correct.
sure.
And you also have the psionic neuralization stabilization procedure. The only reason why the captain was affected is because his procedure was nullified by the complication.
All right then, 4 dice with focus, and I get to re-roll 1 for free.
That is a roll. That has happened.
Oh no.
Well, you can re-roll one of those 20s.
Yes, I will.
Please.
Welcome to my life.
We've had some pretty interesting rolls tonight.
Okay, well, at least it's not a complication. Okay, so...
But because of first response, you can always succeed at cost with each complication you suffer, adding 1 to the difficulty of healing the patient's injuries.
Correct.
Subsequently.
So
I will succeed at cost if I can here.
You can, and I'm going to offer you 2 ways we can go about this. Is you can succeed at a cost, and the cost will obviously be that you are like locked into sickbay treating these people, which I hate to do, but it is kind of one of those moments where it's like, doctor, you must save these people kind of a situation. But there's also the second way we can do this, where I will offer you a complication that means that you're not stuck in sickbay, but you are going to lose the psionic stabilization procedure. So it's kind of a, do I want to really save these people and maybe be in sickbay for a little bit, or do I want to stay more with the group and, kind of stay in the event? I really hate putting it that way, but that's kind of the consequences of these multiple complications. Is it's ramping up the injury of the person you're treating, and it's making it so that instead of it being like a difficulty 1 that you could pass off to somebody else, like now it's a difficulty of 3 kind of a situation, if that makes any sense.
So if I understand what you're saying, I would be heading back to the Babylon sick bay and dealing with it there? Or do you mean I'm stuck here? Okay, well, I'll do that. I'll take that one. I mean, there's going to be a lot of casualties. I can probably be just as useful as long as other people can get the casualties to me safely. So.
Okay. So what that's going to mean is you will succeed, and what that's going to look like is the combat medic, or we'll call him, we've used Jim, we've used Frank, we've used Steve. I'm running out of names here. Phil. His name is Phil. Phil, the combat medic, is going to help you move safely the casualties from their remains of a sickbay into the runabout. But here's the thing, is that you are only able to get about 16 of these casualties. But good news, it's just 16 casualties. The other 20 are dealing with the people outside, if you get my meaning.
Understood. We'll get the worst off, and The rest will have to send another. Do we have? I'm assuming we only have the 2 runabouts, right? The Babylon only has
Correct.
2 runabouts. Okay, so we'll just have to cycle it back and come back again. That's all.
Well, and I've actually got a thought around that, maybe. Because if there's 4 fields up, that means that the saucer section still has power.
Mm-hmm.
So Rendek is thinking about maybe if I can get onto the saucer section and work on the power there, if there's a transporter pad in the saucer section, we might be able to utilize the backup emergency power on the saucer section to do an even better job than a pattern enhancer because it's an actual transport pad.
I mean, I like these ideas. The only thing I'm going to point out is that when Minetti and Grok go, it's just going to be the one runabout to deal with the creatures.
Well, I think then Rendek would look to the captain. I think he would tell the captain this idea, and he would kind of flip with, "Look, set me down, let me go in. I'm not affected by it. You stay with the shuttle, keep those things at bay. I'll try to get the transporter inside the saucer section working so we can maybe get these guys back up to the ship."
We need to get everyone loaded up as quickly as possible. And it looks like we're going to hike everyone who's left. So work quick. And if you have a chance, see if there's anything to Zambonaga's weapons that's still functional. Even a few warning shots might help to keep them at bay.
Understood.
So my next question is, what does this look like as Minetti and Gra take their runabout back up to the Babylon? Rendek, are you literally dropping in an EV suit onto the hull? Is the captain docking with the saucer section? What does that look like?
My intention was that we would be basically trying to dock as they left.
Okay.
Possibly in the same spot, if that's possible.
Certainly.
Now, does that leave us with the ability to maintain any kind of line of fire at the beings on the ground?
From one direction, yeah, because it's the leaf blower. It only has a jet in one direction, but it's an arc, so it's like Dragon's Breath. It just affects an arc.
Okay.
Theoretically, I can use the phaser bank on the runabout to do warning shots as I'm taking off.
I mean, I'm okay with this. This sounds like a good thing. So let's actually handle that. Let's have the captain. Let's try to get you guys some momentum. Captain, if you could give me a daring con at a difficulty of 1. Minetti, you may assist with a control security.
Can I pull on my composure focus for just trying to keep myself... I'm fighting off this sense of dread and fear while trying to pilot down.
Yes, but I'm going to need you to say 3 words.
I will remain calm.
There you go.
And Rendak will actually hear the captain say under his breath, "I'm going to punch the next person who tells me to remain calm."
Are we rolling separately, or are these?
You're assisting the captain.
Okay, so 1 die for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. Difficulty 1. I don't want to add any more threat right this minute, so please. Okay.
Okay, you get the one you need. So, Minetti, you fire off a few stray phaser blasts. Captain, you slip into the runabout right where Minetti left from. And Rendak, I'd like you to imagine, have you ever seen Chariots of Fire, where, it's a bunch of guys running on a beach?
No.
Okay. I'll have to get you a reference after the thing. But have you ever seen Baywatch? Let's ask that question. Have you ever seen Baywatch? Yeah. Okay.
Or like the Top Gun volleyball scene,
Yeah. Same kind of idea, where you are, at least in my mind, just this Ferengi carrying a bunch of pads and a bunch of engineering equipment, just kind of doing the slow run down the corridor. But
it looks as ridiculous as it sounds.
It's a sentence, is how I will put it. But no, Rendak, my question is, are you going to be heading to the main fusion reactors? Are you headed to the computer core? Where is it you're heading on the Zamboanga first?
Well, I think that so the saucer is separated from the primary hole, or I'm sorry, the secondary hole, which is where the warp core, like the big engines are.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Rendak knows without power, everything else is irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think his first thing is to head to the fusion reactors and make sure they're stable, increase their output. Basically, just set it up where either he can get the phasers online, because I'm assuming. What did you say? What class the Zambonetti is?
It's a Nebula class.
Nebula. I don't remember that one.
It is.
Does it have phase raised on the?
Yes, it does. It does. I'm just trying to think how to describe a Nebula class real quick.
I googled it. You're good.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I guess for the people watching.
Yeah, I was gonna say for the people at home. Imagine
it's the Galaxy that got
Yeah, it's the Galaxy class, but different. So imagine like a Galaxy saucer, and then you kind of have like this U-shaped sort of apparatus on the back of the saucer where you've got like a mission pod up top, and then the cells are two towards the bottom of the saucer. Just Google it. You'll understand what a Nebula class is.
It's we needed to reuse the model.
Yeah, it is
You
literally
Google,
a kit
you
bag.
filthy animals.
It's the Galaxy's little brother version of the Miranda to a Constitution.
There you go.
Yeah, he's gonna head to the fusion reactors and try to make sure they're stable and putting out power. One, because it'll secure the force fields. Two, if he can get the power going, then he can operate the phasers. I mean, he doesn't want to operate the phasers because he has no security, but he wants to at least get the power enough to where it can do something. Be it use the transporter, use the phasers, use whatever.
Okay. So since we are coming up on a dramatic moment to stop, what we're going to do is we're going to resolve two roles here. The first is Rendak. When you arrive at the fusion generators, you see that they are literally being held together with speed tape, duct tape, and a prayer.
Okay.
In order to fix them, this is going to be a daring engineering on your part. I already anticipate that you're probably going to want to use jury rig, if I know you quite well. So you can reduce the difficulty from a 3 down to a 1.
Okay. I will definitely. I mean, we're not staying on the ship. I don't need the ship to keep running after we leave. So definitely willing to jury rig it.
Okay.
All right. So I'm doing a daring engineering, difficulty 1. For the sake of success, I'm going to spend a momentum for another dice.
Okay.
I would like to also argue emergency repairs.
I'll give it to you.
As my focus. And I'll roll.
Hey, 3 successes,
momentum.
bringing you back up to 4 momentum. All right. So, Rendak, you get those fusion reactors purring. They are putting out power like nobody's business. But I have 12 threat.
No.
The first 2 threat. Unfortunately, the phasers are completely shot. Like, if you had a week in Stardock, you could get them to fire a little tiny beam. You're not going to be able to use the phasers. But, you do see that the saucer section of the ship does have 3 trilithium torpedoes. Now, if you need a reminder of what a trilithium torpedo does, or you just have no idea, a trilithium weapon is usually used for setting off supernovas if you shoot it into a star. Also is a very good payload, but, same difference, really. Supernova, torpedo, same thing.
Yeah.
What happens if we shoot it at a gas giant, I wonder?
Oh, I do wonder. GM Steeple fingers. Yes, excellent. But that's the first roll. The second roll, Rendak, is I mean, your insight's an 11, so I'm going to give you a chance to resist this, but I need you to roll me a daring security here.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Here we go. This is not going to go well for me. I got to get under a 10. And it's just a standard task?
Just a standard task.
Oh, I don't want a difficulty.
Well, that's the thing, is that the difficulty is how many successes you roll. Is what I have to beat.
Oh man.
So you could spend momentum and threat, but whatever difficulty you roll is what I'm beating.
I'm going to spend 1 for at least another die. I have no focus. I don't know what I'm rolling for, so I don't know that I could argue a focus.
You don't have a focus on this one, trust me.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
Yay.
So I need to get 3 successes.
Please
because
don't.
this is a dramatic moment, I'm going to spend 1 threat to give the actor a 3rd die. We're just gonna roll 3d20. Ooh, that's a very low number. Let's expand out that 20. They have rolled a 5, a 3, and a 12, which is 3 successes. So Rendak, as you are working, you hear it because of your pharyngeal lobes, and you turn to defend yourself as one of those creatures, one of these Tangal, as the captain knows them, is going to strike you with its unarmed attack. Now, what this means is you have the choice of either taking 2 stress damage or becoming non-lethally injured. Now, if you choose to be non-lethally injured, I have to spend threat to even target you, but you are effectively out of the scene. And it's kind of one of those dramatic moments where, Rendak, can you take the blow and tough through it? Do you want to just go down? I always offer the choice because some people like going down.
I think for Rendak, because he doesn't have a high security, like standing his ground is more dramatic. Because he's not a warrior. And so I think I'll take the 2 stress damage.
Okay. So go ahead and mark that off on your sheet. And to describe this creature, again, I'm not going to go into the sword details, but it's half a person, and they have talons, they have a proboscis-like tongue, they've got bat wings, and it's just not fun looking at them overall. But that, unfortunately, is where we have to pause our adventure for the time being, because we are out of time for today's session. Whew, that went places. But what are you all feeling so far? Like I said, this is my first time really running it for a streamed environment. So it's definitely interesting to see how much has changed from when I ran it at a convention before. But I mean, what are you all thinking so far? Even if you hate it, what are your thoughts so far?
Oh, I'm definitely enjoying it.
I'm getting lots of opportunities to use my stuff.
I think it's quite well. It's not going as well as I'd like it to, but it's quite well put together. I'm quite enjoying it.
Yeah, I think the story's been great. I think we've rolled kind of poorly tonight. We got a lot of complications.
Yeah.
Well, I looked at my dice. I've rolled 14 dice. 2 of them have been a success, and 1 of them was a double success. The other 11 were failures.
Yeah, the dice were just not kind to you. In fact, somebody in my community will do it listening. Somebody in my community, can you go back and count the number of complications and see if we beat our record? Because no joke, I once had somebody, his name is Peter, Petrus Aquinas. He is on one of my other shows. But if I remember correctly, his target was 14 complications. Not even joking. 14 complications in a single night. So that was fun.
Lord.
All right. Well, it sounds like we're having a good time, and that's what I love to hear.
A good challenge. Yeah, a good challenge so far, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I love to hear. All right. Well, Twitch, stick around because we're going to raid somebody, but YouTube, this is where we say goodbye. Bye-bye, YouTube.